Registrar, the Bursar, University Librarian, Provost of the College of Medicine, Provost of the Postgraduate College, the Dean of the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences, Deans of other faculties and students, Directors of institutes and centers, Heads of departments, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The 583rd University of Ibadan Inaugural Lecture will be delivered this evening by Professor Samuel Onasanwo of the Department of Physiology on behalf of the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences. Professor Samuel Onasanwo was born on 28 June 1973 to the family of Prince Gabriel Onasanwo, blessed memory, and Madam Margaret Jumoke Onasanwo. He had his primary education at Christ the King Convent School at Kuku, Ibadan, between 1979 and 1984, and his secondary school education was at Lajelu Grammar School at Kuku, Ibadan, between 1985 and 1989, where he obtained West African School Certificate. Thereafter, he proceeded to the University of Ibadan and graduated in 1996 from the Department of Physiology, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Physiology with second-class honors upper degree. As an undergraduate, he was the best graduating student in Physiology. He then proceeded for his mandate National Youth Service Corps NYSC program in Rivers State, where he served at the government secondary school a day from Numa, Port Harcourt between 1997 and 1998. Professor Samuel Onasanwo obtained his MSc degree in the year 2000 and PhD degree in 2005 in physiology, all from this university. He began his academic career as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Physiology on 29 June the year 2000, shortly after completing his master's degree. He rose steadily through the ranks to become a professor of physiology on 1 October the year 2019. Professor Onasanwo has served and is still serving the university in various capacities. Also been undergraduate from 2006 to 2014, postgraduate coordinator in the Department of Physiology from 2014 to 2015, subject postgraduate 2018 to 2022. He has been the head of the Department of Physiology from 2024 to date. Professor Onasanwo is a member of several professional societies, including the Physiological Society of Nigeria, the African Association of Physiological Sciences, the Physiological Society of the United Kingdom, American Physiological Society, the Society for the Study of Pain, International Association of the Study of Pain, Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, the Society for Neuroscientists in Africa, and the International Brain Research Organization. He has served as Financial Secretary and Treasurer of Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, Treasurer of the Society of Neuroscientists of Africa, and Financial Secretary of the Physiological Society of Nigeria. As a scholar, Professor Onasanwo has successfully supervised 6 PhD graduates in Physiology and Neuroscience, 2 MPhil students, and many master students, and in fact numerous PhD students. He is currently supervising 3 other PhD students. On the Global Scholar, he has been cited about 1,277 times and with an H index of 20. In addition, he has published about 71 articles in peer-reviewed journals, in addition to numerous conference proceedings and a few chapters. Professor Onasanwo has received numerous awards, including the Best Graduating Student Award in Physiology in 1996. He also received the prestigious Federal Government of Nigeria Postgraduate Scholarship Award in 2002. In 2004, he was awarded Postgraduate Fellowship by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research and the Third World Academy of Sciences Course, which enabled him to carry out research at the Central Institute for Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow, in India. He has also received award from Tata Fellowship Award at the Regional Research Laboratory, Jamtao, India, in 2006. In 2008, Professor Onasanwo was awarded the postdoctoral Tuas Fellowship at the Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow, in India. He also obtained the Research Training Fellowship for Developing Country Scientists and proceeded to the Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow, and the National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology, Tiruvananthapuram, Kerala, India, in 2011. In 2014, he received the International Junior Research Grant for short-term postdoctoral training at at the School of Applied Sciences, University of Sheffield, West Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. Professor Onasanwo has served as external examiner for several universities, including the University of Benin City, Inaugural University in Ibadan, Afe Babalola University, Edo State University in Yaba, Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoye, University of Medical Sciences, Ondo, University of Ilorin, University of Lagos in Yaraba, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Doba, Sabah. Professor Onasanwo is a pastor at the Christ-like Church International Ibadan, and he is happily married to Mrs. Onasanwo, a banker and a businesswoman. Their marriage is blessed with two promising children, Peter and Gabriel. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I invite Professor Samuel Onasanwo to deliver his lecture, which is titled NUTRACEUTICAL and Brain, Exploring the Neuroprotective Arsenal for Optimal Brain Function. Professor Onasanwo.
Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, Innovation and Strategic Partnerships, the Registrar, the Librarian, and all the principal officers, Provost of the College of Medicine and of Postgraduate College, the Dean of Faculty of Physical Sciences, the Dean of other faculties and of students, Director of institutes, my lords, spiritual and temporal, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I stand here today in the presence of this respected audience as a program of God's sure mercy and grace to present the 583rd inaugural lecture on behalf of the Faculty of Physical and Medical Sciences, University of Ibadan. I thank God for His faithfulness and love. I glorify and exalt the author and giver of life, the beginning and the end, the King of glory, the maker of all flesh, who made today a reality. Exactly 932 days that the University of Ibadan announced the promotion as a full professor of physiology, while some people say it's too early to give my inaugural lecture based on their reasons, others say it is long overdue, speaking from the point of view that once you are announced as a professor, you should be ready to tell the story. Nevertheless, I give God all the glory for sound health and strength to stand here today. Please permit me to thank the former dean and current dean of the Faculty of Physical Sciences for their passive conspiracy by nominating me for this lecture, and the members of the Faculty of Physical Sciences to your approval of the approval of the nomination. I stand here this afternoon with all sense of humility to present the first of its kind for Neuroscience and Neuropsychology Unit, the seventh inaugural lecture from the Department of Physiology, Faculty of Physical Sciences, titled NUTRACEUTICALS and Brain, Exploring the Neuroprotective Arsenal for Optimal Brain Function. This first sixth inaugural lecture was delivered by my teachers and distinguished professors. Professor Ari Elebe of Blessed Memory delivered the first inaugural lecture in 1984. Professor D.D. Okoye of Blessed Memory delivered the second inaugural lecture in 1987. Professor Adeyo Obolariwa seated there delivered the third inaugural lecture in 2002. Professor A.R.A. seated there delivered the fourth inaugural lecture in 2015. Professor White also seated delivered the fifth inaugural lecture in 2018. While Professor S.D. Olade also seated there delivered the sixth inaugural lecture in 1955. During his tenure, Professor R. Shineden, a pharmacologist from Bristol, and Professor Obasi and biochemists were appointed to the Department of Physiology and later became the pioneer appointed head of the Department of Physiology, of Pharmacology and Therapeutics, and biochemistry, respectively. Hence, you can see physiology is the father of all and the bedrock of medicine. Over the years, the Department of Physiology has developed different areas of teaching and research. Despite the drastic reduction in the staff strength, currently teaching and research in the department have been reorganized into 6 broad research fields. 1. Applied and environmental physiology. 2. Cardiorespiratory physiology. 3. Endocrinology and metabolism. Gastrointestinal physiology and inflammation. 5. Neuroscience and oral physiology. 6. Reproduction and developmental programming. My interest in medical sciences started in 1987 when I was in class 3 at Ibadan Grammar School. My father was the chief nursing officer of the defunct Nigerian Tobacco Company in Ibadan. He literally and practically encouraged me to take up the study of medicine and surgery as my career, so I could return to take over the institute he established there. I came to the University of Ibadan in 1991 to study physiology, where I couldn't achieve the cut-off mark for medicine and surgery. I remember vividly Dr. Onasanwo, who introduced us to Professor A.B.O. Desali, who advised my father that I change physiology. I was given an admission letter to study physiotherapy as another option, but my father insisted I do physiology, so I could change to medicine and surgery. Thereafter, I came to the University of Ibadan with all the excitement and commitment to being a medical student at 200 level. When time came for me to apply for change of course, the deputy provost, who had promised my father of the possibility to change, had gone on his sabbatical leave, as if that was not enough. When I completed the 200 level, I wanted to cross over to medicine and surgery by losing a year and continue from 200 level. But it was the year the university said they brought out another rule against such change or transfer. Seeing all these scenarios, I took faith, believing the hand of God over my life to remain focused on physiology. It is written in Isaiah chapter 55 verse 8, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Right there at the beginning of my 300 level, I made up my mind and promised myself to finish well in physiology with a good grade and return to pursue the postgraduate course, and ultimately became a PhD holder in physiology. Not only did I have PhD in physiology today, but God has made me to be a professor. To God be the glory. My journey in academics, my distinguished vice chancellors, it was at the final year that when I was doing my project, when my father went to be with the Lord, I was put in line, and it was serious issue for me to complete my project work and pay other bills. My mother was a typist, but he was always there for me to encourage and most especially pray for me. There was an evening when I had nothing on me, not even a single meal, but she appeared at the Independence Hall around 9 p.m. with food stuff. I couldn't believe my eyes, and that was a very odd hour for me. Tears rolled down my cheeks that night. I can never forget her genuine love for me. I wondered how she got back home that night, but today it has become history. Also, I cannot forget my experience during the defense of my PhD project. There was not enough money to print or type for my youth service, and I was happening at the daily camp, Port Harcourt. That was the first time I was mingle with young people of diverse tongues and tribes. What a sweet experience. It was from there I was deployed to Government Secondary School in Ibadan local government in Port Harcourt, where I was left with teaching of virtually all the science subjects when the teachers were not available to teach the students. Based on my diligence and hard work, I got the schools and the local government's award. To God be the glory. While I was preparing to exit River State after the expiration of my service here, a childhood friend of mine, a Shell Petroleum Company, who had been the head of the transport section, encouraged me to take up a job. Shell and promised that I will be confirmed with time, because his elder brother was also the head of the engineering section. I refused the offer, although the salary was intimidating, but I decided to come to the University of Ibadan to pursue my MSc degree program. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I must confess to you that I didn't have enough to start my MSc degree program, but I remember vividly that God was there with me. With the token remaining from me after my NYC, I paid my acceptance fee and resumed the program with faith. Initially, I was allocated to Professor A.R.A. Alada, who later went on sabbatical leave, while Professor R.A. Elegbe, the then head of the department, took over my supervision. I cannot forget I used to stay in Professor S.B. Olaleye's laboratory to do most of my experiments of pain. I was in one-man class, although I made a set of MSc students a year ahead of me on ground. As I was rounding up, there was another positive conspiracy by Professor S.B. Olaleye and Professor R.A. Elegbe to retain me as the assistant lecturer in physiology. I joined into academic work. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, immediately after taking up the job of June 2000, I started my PhD degree program. And in the same year, I was encouraged by my supervisor to attend my first scientific conference of physiology at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I was grossly encouraged with the arrays of research output presented by my senior colleagues. During my PhD program in May 2004, I won a 6-month fellowship from Third World Academy of Science to conduct part of my PhD at SEMA, Lucknow, India, under Dr. Animal Pal. And based on the hard work in his laboratory, he facilitated another 3-month fellowship for me, which I used the following year at RRF Jammu Tawi, India. Those trips helped me to complete my PhD on time. To God be the glory. Mr. Vice Chancellor, permit me to refresh the memory of this great and distinguished audience on the key words of my inaugural lecture. The brain is a complex organ that controls or regulates the entire activities in the body. Together, the brain and the spinal cord that extends from it make the central nervous system. It contains blood vessels and nerves, including neurons and glial cells. In the brain, gray matter is primarily responsible for processing and interpreting information, while white matter transmits the information on the other part of the nervous system. How does the brain work? The brain sends and receives chemical and electrical signals throughout the body. Different signals control different processes, and the brain interprets each. Some messages are kept within the brain as memory, while others are relayed through the spine and across the body's vast network of nerves to distant extremities. All because of the arrays of billions of neurons in the CNS. At a high level, the brain is divided majorly into cerebrum, brainstem, and cerebellum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, which initiates movement, speech, problem solving, learning, thinking, and reasoning. The cerebral cortex is divided into two halves: the right hemisphere, which controls the left side of the body, and the left half, which controls the right side of the body. The brain hemisphere has 4 sections called the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes with their various functions. Second, brainstem connects the cerebrum with the spinal cord, which include the midbrain, pons, and medulla. While the cerebellum, called the little brain, a fist-sized portion of the brain located at the back of the head, it coordinates voluntary muscle movements and maintains posture, balance, and equilibrium. Special keeper structure within the brain include the hippocampus, which is a curved C-shaped organ on the other side of each temporal lobe that supports memory and learning. It receives information from the cerebral cortex and plays a vital role in Alzheimer's disease. Substantia nigra is a critical brain region for the production of dopamine, and this affects many systems of the central nervous system, including movement control, cognitive, executive function, and emotional limbic activity. A loss of the dopaminergic neurons of the substantia nigra can lead to Parkinson's disease. Nutraceuticals. Mr. Vice Chancellor, nutraceuticals are food with potential health benefits, often used to prevent or manage diseases. Nutraceuticals are derived from nutrients and pharmaceutical. The name was coined in 1989 by Stephen Devitt. Certain herbs and vegetables that are of health benefit, which have not undergone tedious pharmaceutical processes, may be classified as nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are grouped into 4 categories: a dietary supplement, functional food, medicinal food, and pharmaceutical. Neurodegeneration. Pathogenesis of Alzheimer's disease is multifactorial, involving several key mechanisms, namely amyloid cascade hypothesis, tau hypothesis, neuroinflammation, cholinergic hypothesis, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Currently, there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease, but various treatment strategies aim to show the progression and alleviate the symptoms. Ongoing research in our laboratory, in collaboration with other related laboratories, aim to identify novel nutraceutical and phytofoods with potential to address already stated challenges with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, is the second most common neurodegenerative disease after Alzheimer's disease, primarily characterized by the death of the dopaminergic neurons that project from the substantia nigra pars compacta to the quadriputamen in the striatum, which results in the loss of dopamine neurotransmission, a description provided by James Parkinson in 1817. Neuroprotection. Neuroprotection is defined as a relative preservation of neuronal structure and function. It includes neuroprotective effects that protect against neuronal injury after active diseases or neurodegeneration in the brain following chronic neurodegenerative diseases. As a matter of concern in our laboratory, the consideration of NUTRACEUTICALs with potential to protect the brain from early neurodegeneration and their underlying mechanism of action are fundamental based on their antioxidative and anti-inflammatory properties. My contribution to knowledge is about Onasanwo. Over some years now, my laboratory has been exploring the use of nutraceuticals in the management of CNS conditions. This nutritional neuroscience research work is being investigated to identify the vegetables that we eat which are beneficial to human mental health. Moreover, in the book of the beginning, Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, and God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face all of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of the three yielding seed. To you it shall be for the meat." Hence, God from the beginning has provided human with plants for sustenance and well-being. Ethnobotanical and pharmacognosy as part of the collaboration with colleagues, one of the PhD students I co-supervised with Professor Emiraj of Botany Department, University of Ibadan, carried out ethnobotanical survey on natural products and herbs used in memory enhancing in 3 states of southern Nigeria. The study revealed the ethno-medicinal use in several plants, including their family, local names, habitats, pathogens, and their frequencies. This was the first time to report that there is a relationship between the surface of plants, local names, and their syllabic meaning in each plant. In furtherance of the earlier survey, in the following year, 3 of the medicinal plants showed significant antioxidant activities against LPS-induced neural damage in mice. Further screening of other medicinal herbs is still on to identify therapeutic potential under this collaboration. Anxiety and depression. Garcinia Cola and depression. Mr. Vice Chancellor, depression is real. It's a serious mental disorder characterized by persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, and other symptoms including fatigue, impaired concentration, irritability, sleep disturbance, somatization, in addition to subjective experiences of nervousness, worry, and restlessness. Garcinia Cola is referred to as beta cola. It is called Orogo in Yoruba, Ugolu in Igbo, Amnamiji Goro in Hausa. Colaviron is a flavonoid, an active principle isolated from seed of Garcinia Cola. Extract of Garcinia Cola has been shown to have an anxiolytic effect. Earlier we have reported the analgesic, anti-inflammatory, and psychoactive activities of colaviron in Garcinia Cola. Also, it has been established that pain and depression are connected with each condition potentially exhibiting the other. A study in our laboratory to investigate the antidepressant-like effect of colaviron showed that it significantly reduced mobility time both in FST and TST, while the treatment of mice with prazosin, methagoline, and atropine before colaviron administration significantly reversed its antidepressant-like effect. Findings from the probable mechanism of its action showed that colaviron may mediate its antidepressant-like properties via interaction with serotonin receptor, alpha-1 agonist receptor, and muscarinic acetylcholine receptor. Terminalia tuberula and depression. The plant Terminalia tuberula fruit has been used to treat many diseases locally, such as colic pain, sore throat, asthma, and bleeding heart. Checbolinic acid has been isolated from the fruit of Terminalia tuberula. About 12 years ago, when I when I visited Dr. T. Narendra Laboratory at the CDRR engine so as to purify microbiome, we isolated cephalinic acid from terminal cebola fruit, which was evaluated for anxiolytic and antidepressant properties. Our findings showed antidepressant-like activity of cephalinic acid in FST and TST. Also, it shows significant anxiolytic potential in elevated pulse maze, like that test and overall paradigms when compared with the control. Hence, cephalinic acid has both antidepressant and anxiolytic properties, which may correspond to its folkloric use in the treatment of neurophysiological disorders. On my return home the following year, we explored the mechanism of action through administration of the antagonist prazosin, metabolism, atropine, and superide before cephalinic acid was administered, after which neuronal cell proliferation in the hippocampus was determined and immunohistochemistry using K167. The results showed reverse mobility in animals treated with metabolism. Hence, cephalinic acid exhibited its antidepressant-like activity via serotonergic systems. Belonia and Galena, anxiety and depression. Mr. Vice Chancellor, anxiety and depression are distinct mental health problems, although they can often occur together, as a set of strange diet may be associated with increased anxiety and depression, but a diet emphasizing whole fruits and vegetables may be protected. VA is commonly called bitter leaf in English because of its bitter taste. Locally, it is called Iwu in Yoruba, Onubu in Igbo, Chuzandoki in Hausa, or Oriwo in Edo. It has been reported to be used locally in the treatment of psychiatric challenges. The results from the experiment on the effect of BAD on anxiety status showed a significant anxiolytic-like effect in mice compared with the control. In another limited experiment, we investigated the antidepressant activities of Belonia amygdalina and its probable mechanism of action in mice. The extract significantly increased mobility in mice and mediated its action through alpha-1 adrenergic receptor, dopamine D2 receptor, and 5-HT receptor, establishing its antidepressant-like potential. Atocarpus atilis and anxiety. Atocarpus atilis, commonly known as breadfruit in the mulberry family, is called afo in Yoruba, ukwa in Igbo, barafuta in Hausa. Traditionally, breadfruits have been used in the treatment of chest pains, pain in the bones, painful breathing, and stomach aches. So, we investigated the anxiolytic effect of its extract in the laboratory Swiss mice. Atocarpus atilis showed anxiolytic-like effect in mice using the elevated pulse, elevated zero maze, and LIDAR tests. Bucosia coriaceae and depression. Bucosia coriaceae, known as wonder plant, of which the seeds are called wonderful product, has been used as refuge for wound and snake bite treatments. It is called Obo in Yoruba, Uke in Igbo, and Guatam Kafa in Hausa. Scientifically, it is known for its therapeutic effect as anti-inflammatory, analgesic, and anti-pyretic agent. In our laboratory, we have established the antidepressant-like property of Bucosia coriaceae seed, but we then evaluated its possible mechanism with focus on the monoaminergic system and hippocampal neuronal density. Our findings showed that mobility was significantly reversed in animals pre-treated with atropine, prazosin, and metabolism, showing a positive involvement of the following corresponding systems. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, and the distinguished audience, I hereby submit to you that if these phytofruits and nutraceuticals mediate their antidepressant-like activities via these cholinergic, adrenergic, and serotonergic systems, there is hope for the hopeless and mankind. Pain and inflammation. Mr. Vice Chancellor, pain is a complex phenomenon involving both physiological and psychological reactions to harmful stimuli. International Association for the Study of Pain defines pain as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. On the other hand, inflammation represents the body's intricate biological response to harmful stimuli, including pathogens, damaged cells, and irritants. While neuroinflammation is a specific type of inflammation affecting the central nervous system, is mediated by microglia and astrocytes and plays a role in conditions such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Colaviral pain and inflammation. We investigated the analgesic and anti-inflammatory effect of colaviral using both thermal and chemical models of pain assessment in mice and rats. Thereafter, we explored its mechanism of action and pre-treatment with naloxone, prazosin, and atropine significantly reverses its antinociceptive effect when compared with control and colaviral groups. Histological staining also reduce the number of ligands of hosts and reduce the carrageenan-induced edema. We then concluded from our investigations that CA possesses significant anti-inflammatory and analgesic activities. Anacardium occidentalis in pain and inflammation. Anacardium occidentalis, commonly known as cashew, is widely used by folklore to manage inflammatory pain, toothache, wounds, and rheumatism amongst many. It is called kaju in Yoruba, cashew in Igbo, and kaju in Hausa. We conducted an experiment to evaluate the analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties of the aqueous, exhale, dichloromethane, and methanol extract of Anacardium occidentalis. Reduced number of writing and its highest analgesic effect was seen in the dichloromethane extract, DCAO. Further study on DCAO in reduced number and time of pore leaking inhibited the neurogenic and inflammatory phases of pain, prolonged the latencies of tail withdrawal, and caused significant inhibition of carrageenan-induced pore edema in rats. This finding suggests that the extract of Anacardium occidentalis has high potent analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties. Tetracapidum coniferum in pain and inflammation. The plant Tetracapidum coniferum, commonly called African walnut, is referred to as Asala or Hausa by the Yoruba people and Upa by the Igbo people. Its analgesic and anti-inflammatory effects have been established in our laboratory. The enzyme F2, which was most potent, significantly inhibited formalin-induced pore leaking, prolonged uptake latency, and induced carrageenan-induced pore edema in rats. These results show that walnut is beneficial for alleviating pain and inflammation, neurodegeneration, and brain. Laboratory at the University of Oxford of Physiological Society London Laboratory Disease Fellowship, where we investigated the impact of colaviral on neuroinflammation in FPS activated BB2 microglia. Colaviral inhibited protein level of NO2, PGE2, cellular reactive oxygen species, and pro-inflammatory cytokines, including TNF-alpha and beta-glucans, in lipopolysaccharide stimulated microglia. Further mechanistic studies showed that colaviral inhibited neuroinflammation by inhibiting IKB, NF-kappa B signaling pathway in FPS activated BB2 microglia. It produced antioxidant effect in BB2 microglia by increasing HO1 through the NRF2 antioxidant response element pathway. In another related research in collaboration with Professor Ebenezer Farambi's laboratory, neuroprotective effect of colaviral was investigated in MPTP-induced model of Parkinson's disease in mice. The result revealed that MPTP induced acute locomotor, exploratory, and motor incompetence was presented by colaviral treatment. prevented by colaviral treatment. Also, colaviral restored MPTP-mediated depletion of endogenous antioxidants, striker restrictive stress, and oxidative damage with elevated DJ1 level, potentiated NRF2 NADPH, quinone oxidant reductase 1 cytoprotective capacity, reduced catch-like ECH-associated protein 1 expression, and limited striatal pathology. Hence, colaviral may be a conferring protection through a specific DJ1 downstream cytoprotective effect. Pseudoscolus, acrotinopolus, and neurodegeneration. One of the targets in our laboratory is to see how the inclusion of nutraceuticals in a normal diet and always taken separately affect cognition and memory. So, impact of Pseudoscolus, acrotinopolus supplemented diet CAD on the neurocognitive function was conducted in rats. Memory performance in rats fed with CAD in Morris motorways and NORT was improved based on the result of NDE, GSH, and catalyst concentrations and acetylcholinesterase activity. While the histological assessment reveals no neuronal or pyramidal degeneration at the hippocampal conus harmonic 3 CA3 region. We then concluded that CAD boosts memory performance in rats through positive modulation of oxidative stress, cholinergic system, and degeneration of hippocampal neurons. Thereafter, in a separate and related experiment, we evaluated the protective effect of Pseudoscolus acrotinopolus ligastra MECA against lipopolysaccharide-induced memory, vehement oxidative stress, and neuroinflammation in rats. Oral administration of MECA showed the same impact, just like we found in the supplemental diet. Moringa olivera and neurodegeneration. Moringa olivera belong to the family neuroprotective and neurorestorative effects in the treatment and management of Parkinson's disease. Honey and neurodegeneration. Honey is a natural product produced by the honeybee Apis mellifera by the enzymatic digestion of nectar in their gut. It contains flavonoids and phenolic acid, which are potent antioxidants reported to be a therapeutic benefit. The LPS activation of microglia can interfere with the cholinergic neurons, indicating the selective susceptibility of cholinergic neurons to activated microglia. We conducted pilot studies which revealed that honey has anti-inflammatory activity in carcinogen-induced for edema. Before the post-treatment study to explore the ameliorative potential of honey in LPS-induced neuroinflammation, using different doses to establish a potential translatable effective dose of honey. Our results revealed honey to statistically ameliorated LPS-induced memory impairment in novel object recognition tests, and increased time spent in the open hand, increased in locomotor activity in OFT, reduced tumor necrosis factor and interleukin-6, reduced MPA and nitrite level in mice brain, and thus depletion of reduced glutathione levels. It also attenuated elevated acetylcholinesterase activity in rat brain. The crystal violent staining showed the restoration of neuronal organization and missing body distribution in the hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, striatum, compared with the LPS group. Hence, from our result, only of 3 spoons daily effectively ameliorated LPS-induced poor cognitive performance, anxiety, motor coordination responses to neuroinflammation and oxidative stress. Buccosia coriaceae and neurodegeneration. Buccosia coriaceae have a wide range of therapeutic potentials, and these seeds gave the plant the familiar name Wonder Cola or Magic Cola. It is used in traditional medicine to slow aging and treat psychiatric disorders. We investigated its anti-amnesic and antioxidant properties of Buccosia coriaceae, NEBC, in mice administered with scopolamine. The mice pretreated with NEBC prior to scopolamine had increased percentage alternation in YMT. However, NEBC pretreated mice prior to scopolamine administration had increased mean target quadrant time and increased latency time in the platform beyond MWMT. The NEBC attenuated scopolamine-mediated changes in MDA, catalyst, and increased neuronal cell counts of the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex region. Hence, Buccosia coriaceae improved the neurocognitive performance, reduces oxidative stress, and promotes neurogenesis in the hippocampal layers and prefrontal cortices of mind with Alzheimer's type of amnesia. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, and distinguished audience, through this inaugural lecture, I have shown steps of progress in research with the support of my students, colleagues, and collaborators that have worked with me closely. I have explained extensively how important and sensitive the brain is in response to toxic and nutritious substances. I've also discussed the measure at which nutraceuticals were administered at will and unwillingly to achieve the wellness of various laboratory subjects. Also, I have discussed the possible mechanisms through which the nutraceutical mediated their positive impact in different neurodegenerative and brain conditions. I have mentioned herbs and nutraceuticals that can manage various brain conditions and diseases. It is heartwarming to know that most of the nutraceuticals may meet the pathway of the generally acceptable synthetic drugs for the same purpose by crossing the blood-brain barrier to positively impact the brain. I would like to inform this great audience that further experiments are on in our laboratories on these nutraceuticals. Recommendation. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, most of the nutraceuticals mentioned during this lecture are available in my garden in my house, from where I harvest them for this my research regularly. Individuals are encouraged to follow suit so as to assess their benefits. There is need for collaboration with researchers and scientists, both home and abroad, for sound and productive output. Nigerian government and the University of Ibadan may need to liaise with relevant agencies to look into the flora from Africa for commercialization for the management and treatment of mental health. Acknowledgement. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, and distinguished audience, many thanks to you, sir, and the deputies, together with the principal officers of this great institution, for your presence and motivation. I appreciate the presence of all the distinguished persons here and online. Many thanks goes to my primary and secondary school teachers for the foundational training I received early in life. My gratitude goes to all my mentors, starting from Professor G.F. Ibironke and his wife seated here, my BSc project supervisor. I'm also indebted to Professor Raphael Oyuridelege of blessed memory, my MSc and PhD project supervisor, an academic father. Death didn't allow you to mentor me enough as expected, but the legacy you left behind is still sustained. Your care and attention during your supervision cannot be forgotten in a hurry. Many thanks to Professor Eniola Elege, Professor Elege's wife, for holding forth. I also appreciate Ayo Elege, who is representing the family here. I also acknowledge and appreciate Professor Olaikoshinowo, present in this place, my PhD supervisor professional colleague, for your support during my PhD program. I appreciate all the past and the present staff of the Department of Physiology, Professor B.O. Amu, father of all, my teacher, my colleagues, the technologists, and the technical staff. To all the physiology students, you are wonderful. I acknowledge all members of staff of my faculty for the support you give during this inaugural lecture under the leadership of Professor Ironke Adinodola. I thank the head and the staff members of all the departments of the Faculty of Basic Health Sciences and the rest of the College of Medicine. I also appreciate the tutelage of Professor David Olufemi Olaleye of blessed memory and Professor F.A.A. Adeniyi of blessed memory, who facilitated my first faculty support to attend a conference. I thank the provost and principal officers that have influenced my career in one way or the other. I acknowledge all my past and present BSc, MSc, MPhil, and PhD students that labor day and night within the laboratory. I acknowledge Idowu Oweyedo, Babawale Olatunji, Lawrence Adedayo, Mujita Adolubori, Tola Oyebanjo, Gafa Adebayo, Gbenga Olayinka, Yinka Adetoyinbo, Ismail Adeniyi, whom I supervised for various postgraduate programs, and my other MSc and BSc students. Then to Victor Kalesowo and Omonola John, the collective effort of your IT team are seriously appreciated. I also appreciate Dr. Seyi Shitu for joining this team. I'm proud of you all. Please, let us keep the flag.
I appreciate the efforts of all my research collaborators within and outside the University of Ibadan. You are great. My gratitude goes to the leadership and members of the learning societies and organizations which I belong. Many thanks to various funding agencies for the support I received in my research journey. My gratitude to 1996 set under the leadership of Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, popularly known as HIV. Thanks to the members of staff of printing of Publishing House, Diamond FM, and you at Media. I appreciate my father in the Lord, Bishop Francis Wanyoke, and mother-in-law, Reverend B.T. Oki, ably represented by Bishop Okushola in this list, and other bishops and senior pastors and leaders of Christ Life International for your prayers. I appreciate my director of NGCS, Pastor Isaac Oki, and moreover, members of Lighthouse, NGCS, you are wonderful. I am eternally grateful to my father, Prince J.P. Onasanwo, of blessed memory, for giving me quality education and supporting my career until he went to be with the Lord. In July 22, 1996, he taught me how to live by faith. His constructive actually prepared me for this faith that I've attained in life. Sleep until we meet on the resurrection morning. I'm forever indebted to my mother, Mrs. Margaret Jumoke Onasanwo, for your care, sacrifices, and prayers that made me. No word can quantify your amazing love. To all my siblings who are wonderful, who are so wonderful to me, your support and prayers, this one have been a source of encouragement to me. Olori Olubumi Olatubosu, and others, including Olushola Olatubosu. God bless you. You are great. I also thank my in-laws for giving me this young lady that has given me peace. And Grandma Teliadi Olapo Jamaica. Many thanks to all my wife's siblings and our in-laws. Mr. Vice Chancellor, in rounding off this lecture, permit me to finally appreciate a unique gift God gave me that has multiplied in my hands. The union has brought Peter Adesoji, Deborah Adiola, Daddy's image, the only learned lady in our family. You are blessed. And to you, Peter, this lecture is a special birthday gift for you. So, many happy returns. You both will be greater than your father and your mother. In Jesus' name. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, God gave me a beautiful dancer that I understand me all my life, in and out. You have inspired me in many ways. I thank you for your sacrifices many times, especially when I have to travel out of this country. The Lord keeps you and preserve you to the end. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your attention.
Let's Ṣé wà? Ah, o máa gbọ́ sọ́fíìsì yìí ni.